Human rights are children's right too. International human rights instruments recognize that children as well as adults have basic human rights. Children also have the right to special protection because of their vulnerability to exploitation and abuse. The four core principles of the Convention include non-discrimination, the best interest of the child, the right to life, survival and development, and respect for the views of the child. The Convention and its two optional protocols provide for the economic, social, cultural, civil and political rights of all humans under 18 years of age. A presentation prepared by Kendriya Vidyalaya No. 2 Naval Base Kochi highlighting the basic child rights. All people, no matter their age, sex, color, religion, or where they live, have the same basic needs to live a healthy life. These needs include food, shelter, education, healthcare, and freedom from persecution and discrimination. Through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, governments of the world agreed that people have a right to have these basic needs met. Denying people their basic rights not only leads to personal sufferings of individuals, it can result in conflicts and unrest in societies. Child and child rights. According to UNCRC, a child is any human being below the age of 18 years. Child rights are specialized human rights that apply to all human beings below the age of 18. Children's rights are the human rights of children with particular attention to the rights of special protection and care afforded to the young. A child means every human being below the age of 18 years. The Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most endorsed human rights treaty in the world, ratified by all but two countries. Adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on 20 November 1989, it celebrates childhood and codifies in international law the rights due every child. Children are the future of a nation. For an emerging and developing country like India, development of unprivileged children holds the key to the progress of the nation itself. The Convention on the Rights of the Child defines basic rights of children covering multiple needs and issues. India endorsed it on December 11, 1992. The right to education. 50% of Indian children aged 6 to 18 do not go to school. Dropout rates increase alarming in class 3 to 5. It's 50% for boys, 58% for girls. The right to expression. Every child has a right to express himself freely in whichever way he likes. Majority of children, however, are exploited by their elders and not allowed to express themselves. The right to information. Every child has a right to know his basic rights and his position in the society. High incidence of illiteracy and ignorance among the deprived and unprivileged children prevents them from having access to information about them and their society. Types of rights by UNCRC. Survival rights, development rights, protection rights, and participation rights. Major elements are right to association with both parents, human identity as well as the basic needs for physical fitness, food and health care, universal state paid education, freedom from all types of discrimination. Problem statement. 2.2 billion of the world's people are under 18 years old, with 2 billion from developing countries. 30,500 children under 5 years old die every day of preventable diseases such as diarrhea, pneumonia, and malnutrition. Every month, 50,000 children under 15 are infected with AIDS. Of all children in developing countries, 20% of those ages 5 to 15 are engaged in child labor in hazardous and harmful conditions. 30% under 5 are underweight, nearly 40% suffer from stunt growth, and over 50% are malnutritioned. More children today live in poverty than 10 years ago, and more children find themselves in a more violent and unstable environment. Globally, 36% of women aged 20 to 24 were married or in union before they reached 18 years of age. An estimated 14 million adolescents between 15 and 19 give birth each year. Girls in this age group are twice as likely to die during pregnancy or childbirth as women in their 20s. Currently, there are 350,000 child soldiers engaged in armed conflict throughout the world. Under international human rights law, age 18 is the minimum acceptable age for direct participation in armed conflict. It is estimated that more than 8 million children have either been maimed or killed as a direct result of armed conflict in the last decade. Additionally, the use of landmines has led to approximately 10,000 deaths or severe injuries every year. Child rights in India. The Constitution of India recognizes the vulnerable position of children and their right to protection. Article 15 in the Constitution guarantees special attention to children through necessary and special laws and policies that safeguard their rights. The right to equality, protection of life and personal liberty, and the right against exploitation are enshrined in Articles 14, 15, 16, 17, 21, 23, and 24. India has adopted a number of laws and formulated a range of policies to ensure children's protection and improvement in their situation, including the Guardian and Wards Act 1890, Factories Act 1948, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, Probation of Offenders Act 1958, Bombay Prevention of Begging Act 1959, Orphanages and Other Charitable Homes Supervision and Control Act 1960, Feeding Bottles and Infant Foods Regulation of Production, Supply and Distribution Act 1992, National Nutrition Policy 1993, Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques, Regulation and Prevention of Misuse Act 1994, Persons with Disabilities, Equal Protection of Rights and Full Participation Act 2000, Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2000, National Health Policy 2002. National Charter for Children 2004, National Plan of Action for Children 2005 and Commission for Protection of the Rights of the Child 2005. Violence against children. Crime against children in India. Procuration of minor girls 2.60%, prostitution 0.40%, kidnapping and abduction 46.20%, rape cases 21.50 cases, infanticide and feticide 0.60%, murder 4.40%, and other crimes 24.30%. Children everywhere are vulnerable to abuse and exploitation by those in positions of power and trust. Education. The 86th Amendment to the Constitution on the fundamental right to education for the 6 to 14 years age group has also led to the inclusion of an additional clause under Article 51A that imposes a fundamental duty upon parents or guardians to provide opportunities for education of their children, wards between the age of 6 and 14 years. Juvenile Justice Act. The Act places children, juveniles, in two categories. Juvenile in conflict with the law, handled by state governments, or juvenile boards. Children in need of care and protection to be looked after by state governments or child welfare committees. Act to be implemented by the respective state governments. A Vision for the Future Integrated Child Protection Scheme ICPS. Its objective to provide an environment for safe and wholesome development of the children who are in need of care and protection as well as children in conflict with law. To overcome the shortcomings and gaps in the implementation of the existing child protection schemes with some additional components. The Program for Juvenile Justice Shishu Graha scheme and Street Children scheme will be merged under the ICPS. ICPS, a glimpse. Care, support and rehabilitation services. Emergency outreach service through Childline. Transitional shelters for children in need in urban and semi-urban areas. Family-based, non-institutional care through sponsorship, foster care, adoption and aftercare program. Institutional services, shelter homes, children's home, observation homes, special homes and specialized services for children with special needs. General grant in aid for need-based innovative interventions. Crimes against children. Punishment for cruelty, imprisonment for a term of 6 months or fine or both. Employment for begging. Imprisonment may extend up to 3 years and also fine. Penalty for giving psychotropic substance. Imprisonment may extend up to 3 years and also fine. Exploitation of child employees. Imprisonment may extend up to 3 years and also fine, except upon the advice of a duly qualified medical practitioner. Crime against children are cognizable offences. On receipt of complaint, the police must arrest the perpetrator. Police must file an FIR. Police will release the child on bail. Protection. Handling by special juvenile police. Handcuffing of juvenile or child prohibited. Police should not be in uniform. Child or juvenile cannot be kept in jail or lockup. No death penalty or life imprisonment. Proceedings are informal, participatory and private. Deletion of record of juvenile after 7 years. Parents to be involved in juvenile process. Right to free legal aid. No joint trial of a juvenile with an adult. Information after juvenile cannot be released to media. Conclusion. A visible shift from an approach of charity to that of rendering justice to children by guaranteeing their rights. An effective implementation, groundswell of support, fair environment. Alarming concern as children are being misused. Our social responsibility to take care of the children and to protect their rights. If all suggestions take seriously, India would be a safer place for the children. I am the child. You hold me in your hands, my destiny. You determine whether I shall succeed or fail. Give me, I pray, those things that make for happiness. Train me, I beg, that I may be a blessing to the world. Thank you.